no one is going to pick Indiana. No one's going to pick Indiana to make it close, honestly. Like, you could get tremendous odds if you pick OKC in 7.
I think that taking the series over 5.5 games, the last 2 NBA Finals series ended in 5. I think this one goes 6. I think the Thunder will get the job done, but I think the Pacers are just too strong of a team and too talented of a team and too deep of a team to lose in 5 or fewer games.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
The Knicks really got past that playoff dragon for them that really stood in their way. So for the New York Knicks to be the Celtics and then an outright favorite to win the Eastern Conference Finals, that's where the disappointment is.
The goalposts got moved, right? Because when you went into the Celtics series, a lot of Knicks fans said they weren't going to be this. I'll say this is more unprecedented than the 99 run when they were the 8 seed.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Face, it's the new face. New face of what? The hell are you talking about? Like seriously. Oh, the new face of the NBA, Anthony. Yeah, okay. You know what I mean? Like, really? Guy's got 2 shots. You're the face of the NBA. Slow down. He's a good player. I've always thought the whole face of the NBA thing was comical. You want him to be the face of the NBA because you don't like it that all the other faces of the NBA aren't American.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
And if you go through Cat, that means Cat at 11-1 could be Eastern Conference Finals MVP. The worst team in the WNBA is the Chicago Sky. They have no perimeter play. They're playing Sloot too many minutes. And Angel Reese doesn't have the help she needs.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
We welcome you to hour number 3, our third and final live right here on this Thursday morning on the Early Line on SportsGrid. He is Donnie right side. I am Ben Stevens. This Thursday morning is also the morning of the opening game of the 2025 NBA Finals tonight in Oklahoma City between the Thunder and the Pacers. Plenty of previews, plenty of breakdowns throughout the entirety of this third hour, including the proper perspective from TV Tom Vecchio later on in this third and final hour. We'll get to some baseball on this Thursday. Pretty large Thursday slate, DRS. I guess when you only have 7 games on a Monday, that you have a lot more teams playing later in the midweek on this Thursday. 13 total games, 24 stadiums, or 24 teams, I should say, in 12 spots because of a scheduled doubleheader in St. Louis. So plenty of baseball to break down around the diamond here in this third and final hour as well.
Yeah, I'll certainly be able to take a look at that. You know, the weather's starting to change. Hot here in studios and outside in the Northeast, no question about that. So we'll go over a lot of these spots in Major League Baseball. But we finally get a game tonight in the NBA that we've been setting the table, feels like, for an entire week. We'll watch it play out, and then we can actually react to what's actually taking place as to, I wonder what will take place. No, we're going to watch it play out tonight, have some fun, hopefully get a competitive game. But the way we bet these in a competitive environment, we'll find out in this hour.
Yes, we certainly will, DRS, and we'll find out in this hour from the very start how the people are feeling about game number 1 of the 2025 NBA Finals. Again, the consistent theme throughout this series, at least before it fully tips tonight, the Thunder are a hefty favorite. To win an NBA championship, it's minus 700. To win game number 1, they're a 9.5-point favorite and minus 420 on that updated money line price on the FanDuel Sportsbook. Do the people agree? What's the best bet for game number 1 of tonight's NBA Finals beginning? That was the question to all of you in Fade the Public. 9.5-point spread in favor of the Thunder at home. A total north of 230 at 230 and a hook. So at SportsGrid on Twitter, what is the best bet for game 1 of the 2025 NBA Finals? The Thunder winning by double digits as a 9.5-point favorite. The Pacers keeping things close and tightly contested as a solid underdog, a total skying to the over, and a ton of offense to open up the NBA championship set, or staying under that lofty number of 230 and a hook. Most of the public, DRS, nearly 36% of our Fade the Public poll now in those updated numbers, backing Oklahoma City laying 9.5. I said that, and then we saw a little bit of movement as we speak, now just over 34% backing OKC. But most of the votes backing the Thunder, even as a 9.5-point home favorite tonight.
I'm surprised by that because earlier on this morning, checking in with it, was the Pacers by an overwhelming majority at that point. I said, got them right where I want them here because I did vote for the Thunder at -9.5 along with the other 34%, which is now the favorite here, which I'm kind of confused by because everything we typically hear is that's too many points for the Pacers. There's a lot of rest here. They don't have to win the game. They just have to keep it a little bit close there. Heck, they can even win. Fantastic. But just play with OKC and that will be enough. But it's interesting to see now the poll that we're putting out, fading the public. I'm with the public now because, again, I voted on the -9.5. I think it's going to be a double-digit victory here. But I think when we get closer to game time, I'm interested to see. We're not going to see 10s pop up on the board. I want to see if we get back down to the 9s and maybe a little bit later when the public starts to get involved later in the day and more bets come in as we get closer to game time. That's something to watch. But for me, being on the public side here, I'm going to ride with it. Not an overwhelming majority, but I actually thought more people would be on the Pacers 9.5 than the Thunder here.
Me as well, DRS, just based on what we have seen throughout this postseason run. And again, when you think of the trends, here's where both teams stand. Both teams have played 16 playoff games, 5-5, then 6 for Indiana, 4-7, then 5 for Oklahoma City. The Thunder have been booked as at least a 5-point favorite in every single game throughout this NBA postseason. And DRS, Oklahoma City is 7-9 against the spread. Not only was OKC the best team in the NBA this season with 68 wins, they were by far the best covered team in the association as well, covering in 68% of their games. The overall ATS record for Oklahoma City throughout this regular season was absolutely astounding. 53, 25, and 4 against the number. But in the playoffs, DRS, 7-9 against the spread, all 7 covers coming at home, which if you're getting ready for tonight, where OKC is playing at home inside the Paycom Center, that's a pretty good thing because the overall record for the Thunder at home this playoff run, 8-1 straight up. Again, all 7 of their covers coming at home, so 7 of their 8 home victories, they have covered the number. The average margin of victory for the Thunder at home, 24.6 points per game. And in 5 of those 8 home wins, DRS, OKC has won by at least 25 points. That is why, if you believe the Thunder is the right side, if you believe the Thunder should be a strong favorite throughout the NBA championship set, you can kind of talk yourself into even laying a 9.5-point spread.
Yeah, exactly. And tonight you're just, and also understand this, having a full week off, having to get ready, 2 good coaching staffs. Are we in for surprises? And the thought process behind the surprises would have to be, well, the surprise is going to be the Thunder winning by 20 points tonight. The surprise is going to be the Pacers coming in and shocking the world, saying, no, we're here, we're competitive. We played very good in the Eastern Conference and right through the Eastern Conference Finals. What are we just going to stop once we get to the NBA Finals and the bright lights are turned on? That's what I'm looking forward to. And understand this too, from a public perception value of, we talked earlier about where these ratings are going to be. Don't let it happen where the Thunder win this game 121-107. Like they said, well, that's not that bad. No, the double-digit victory tonight because everyone's saying, well, why would I invest and tune in another day because I think this series is over? You need to have an unbelievable performance by Indiana, which doesn't even equate to a victory for them. Just play it down to a final possession or two to say, you know what? I'm going to tune back in on Saturday to watch this game play out because I think Indiana might be able to give them trouble. Worst case scenario would be a loss of 125, let's just say 105, where OKC really runs away with this thing. But I just would love to see it. Again, me betting, I do think that Oklahoma City wins by double digits. Same way I thought in the past years, like, it closed out. But you know what? Just for the betterment of the environment and talking about like what we can do on a day-to-day basis. Come on, Pacers. Show up and get a victory here. Let us buy into the series and have fun. We don't want to see a runaway freight train because people are going to tune in for game number 1. You have our attention. You'll lose it quickly with a double-digit victory here for OKC tonight.
content perspective, competitive perspective, notoriety perspective. I think we all want Indiana to keep this game close. Could be different than our handicapping perspective as well. Donnie, I knew that based on a total north of 230, most of the public would be on the over. So my bet, by the way, or my vote for the Fade the Public poll, under 230 and a hook. We know how quickly the Pacers want to play. That might work against New York. I'm not sure it works against Oklahoma City. So we'll see the adjustments that Rick Carlisle, one of the great coaches in the association, makes. I actually lean under 230 and a half tonight. And the Pacers have been a great underdog throughout this playoff run. 7-3 straight up and against the number. 7-3 outright as an underdog. And on the road, Indiana is 6-2 outright. An underdog in 8 of those away games for the Pacers throughout this playoff run. There will be plenty more from game number 1 in Oklahoma City of the NBA Finals later in this third hour. Baseball breakdowns next.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching!
Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that rim. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple of 18.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. That's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune in to Game Time Decisions weekdays on SportsGrid.
Did you know sportsbooks tend to draw up tighter bet lines for events that get even more bettors, like championship games or major matchups? My tip, try betting on less popular sports. You might have a better shot at beating those odds. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
A lot of baseball on this Thursday around the major leagues. Oftentimes a Monday or a Thursday can be a little bit quiet. Getaway day on a Thursday, travel day on a Thursday to set the stage for those weekend sets. Donnie Rightside, with your beautiful baseball mind, what a great day to handicap the Diamond. We've got 24 teams in action in 12 spots. Make it even a 13th game, though, with a doubleheader set today in St. Louis after a postponement yesterday. due to some gnarly weather between those I-70 rivals, the Redbirds and the Royals. We've got a series finale today in Atlanta as well. And of those 13 games, 8 during the afternoon hours. Grant Holmes on the bump for the Braves, DRS, as Atlanta looks to get back to winning ways. And Atlanta looks to avoid a sweep during this homestand in the home set against the Arizona Diamondbacks. Now, they have been a favorite in each of the first 2 games of this series. They have lost both. They are a favorite today, despite Brandon Pfaadt being on the other side for the Snakes. Total is 9. Atlanta nearly $1.50 favorite. That line even working on the FanDuel Sportsbook as we speak. What's the play with some day baseball in the A?
You can't lose this game today for the Atlanta Braves. 77-degree temperatures. You like to see that light wind blowing in. Not going to have any effect here on the two teams. But if we are understanding Brandon Pfaadt, he's been a decent pitcher throughout his Major League Baseball career. But over the last 30 days, he's been an abomination on the mound at this point. You take a look here at 22 innings pitched over the past month, a 7.36 ERA and a 5.25 xFIP number. You take a look at right-handed batters who he's faced 41 over the past month. That's a 333 ISO and a 381 weighted on base percentage. To lefties, a 170 ISO, which is okay, but a 357 elevated weighted on base percentage there. Doesn't strike a lot of batters out, and that's what should get him in trouble. Ronald Acuna, Drake Baldwin, Matt Olson, Marcell Ozuna, all elevated weighted on base percentages and ISO power numbers against right-handed pitching over the past month. If we flip it over and take a look at Grant Holmes, he's been decent here, especially against right-handed pitching. But here's the problem that we might run into today. If you look at just his overall statistics, Ben, over the past month, 30 and a third innings pitched, a 3.26 ERA, you like that. 3.47 xFIP number, you really like that. But where he has struggled and been a little bit leaky over the past 30 days has been against left-handed batters. Only a 17% strikeout rate and ISO power number of 257 against and a weighted on base percentage of 355. You know the lefties in that lineup today. Carroll, Marte, Perdomo, Naylor, Pavin Smith, Alec Thomas, and also Jose Herrera. You have a ton of lefties in that lineup, so we're probably looking at scoring runs 2-1 yesterday. Get out of town. We should see the exact opposite of that today, to be honest.
And you see that total is up there. The Arizona Diamondbacks entered this series in Atlanta, dropping 9 of their last 11. The Braves, as we shared at the end of rivalry weekend against the Red Sox, winning that series. We're a game above 500, finally, for the first time this season. Since, with the 2 losses so far in this midweek set, the Braves have lost 10 of their last 13. There is not a lot of wiggle room. It might sound crazy with more than 100 games remaining, but Atlanta is already 6 games below 500 DRS at 27-33. A series continues this week in Toronto between the Blue Jays and the Phillies. Yesterday, Alejandro Kirk, the game-winning RBI in the home half of the 9th, walking it off for the Jays against the Titans today. With Jesus Luzardo on the bump, Philadelphia, a slight road favorite, up in the 6. Chris Bassett on the other side. Total stands at 8. What's your baseball breakdown today in Toronto?
It should be a good one today. And by the way, us here in the United States, we say what? Toronto. North of the border, they say Toronto, Ben. Toronto. How about that? So let's get on board and pronunciate it correctly here, as we love pronunciation.
Never hit the second T, DRS. Never hit the second T.
Toronto. That's what we like to say. Toronto. Tron. T-R-O-N. Toronto. Just leave it out at this point. But by the way, Jesus Luzardo on the mound. Revelation for the Philadelphia Phillies, Ben, to start the season. Not a revelation right now. You take a look at his last 30 days. How about this? This is the interesting point. An ERA, Ben, close to 6. Ooh, that's terrible, right? Through 28 and 2/3 innings pitched. But his xFIP number is only 3.26. This is a strikeout pitcher. You don't put the ball in play, you can't have bad things happen. However, left-handed pitcher Jose Luzardo on the mound. Let's just take a look at the lineup today that we anticipate for Toronto. It's Bo Bichette in that leadoff spot. Not very good. After that, Guerrero, good. Springer, good. Kirk, good. Barger, good. Clement, good. Schneider, good. Straw, good. Jimenez, good. How about 8 out of the 9 batters with elevated weighted on base percentages against left-handed pitching over the past month? Flip it over to Philadelphia. You take a look at Chris Bassett. His numbers right now, not bad. 9th overall on my card today, 26 and 2/3 innings pitched. He also has a high ERA like Luzardo, 5.06, but also a low xFIP number of 3.43. but Bryson Stott leading off, much like the roster I just talked about for Toronto here. Trey Turner elevated, Harper elevated, Schwarber elevated, Bohm elevated, Castellanos elevated, Marchand elevated, and Brandon Marsh elevated here against right-handed pitching over the past month. So 7 out of the 9 batters with elevated weighted on base percentages here. Weather conditions not as warm as they were yesterday in Toronto, but again, Toronto only had 3 total runs in that game. 68 degrees, roof will probably be open. Maybe looking at runs here. If we take a look at the xFIP numbers, it tells you that batters might struggle a little bit, but those ERA numbers and the way the batters have presented themselves against lefty and righties comparative to these two teams, we'll probably get some runs today in Toronto.
In where?
Toronto.
No, Toronto. I thought we just went over this.
Toronto.
Anyway, the rubber match today in
Canada.
the Bronx. Yeah. No, you like Canada, but you don't like Canada. One of those two.
I don't know. By the way, real quick, though, I tuned in to the Stanley Cup game, Ben, and I saw the Canadian national anthem. Were there boos for the U.S. anthem? I didn't see it.
I tuned in right at puck drop. I did not see the pregame festivities.
Yeah.
I do not know. We'll confirm, though, during our commercial break. DRS, the rubber match today up in the Bronx between the Yankees and the Guardians. And with Max Fried on the hill, New York is a strong favorite. I mean, nearly a $3 minus money favorite at minus 275, the updated number. Total 8.5. Quickly, what's the play for the rubber match between the Yanks and the Guardians?
81 degrees. The Bronx is burning tonight. Over 5.5 at a plus money number. I think the Yanks get 6 runs tonight off our guy Slade Ciccone. How about that for a quick handicap for you there?
Perfect. We got to see some runs. At most 5 total runs between these two teams in this series. The Yanks were blank last night. Somebody tell them New York is hot. I'm not even wearing my jacket. We'll continue breaking down the rest of this MLB slate on a Thursday. Up next.
No one is going to pick Indiana. No one's going to pick Indiana to make it close, honestly. Like, you can't really, you could get tremendous odds if you pick OKC in 7.
I think that taking the series over 5.5 games, the last 2 NBA Finals series ended in 5. I think this one goes 6. I think the Thunder will get the job done, but I think the Pacers are just too strong of a team and too talented of a team and too deep of a team to lose in 5 or fewer games.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
The Knicks really got past that playoff dragon for them that really stood in their way. So for the New York Knicks to be the Celtics and then an outright favorite to win the Eastern Conference Finals, that's where the disappointment is.
The goalposts got moved, right? Because when you went into the Celtics series, a lot of Knicks fans said they weren't going to beat it. I'll say this is more unprecedented than the 99 run when they were the 8th seed.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
Face is the new face. New face of what? The hell are you talking about? Like seriously. Oh, the new face of the NBA, Anthony. Yeah, okay. You know what I mean? Like, really? Guy's got 2 shots. You're the face of the NBA. Slow down. He's a good player. I've always thought the whole face of the NBA thing was comical. You want him to be the face of the NBA because you don't like it that all the other faces in the NBA aren't American.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
And if you go through Cat, that means Cat at 11-1 could be Eastern Conference Finals MVP. The worst team in the WNBA is the Chicago Sky. They have no perimeter play. They're playing too many minutes. And Angel Reese doesn't have the help she needs.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
A couple of 4-game finales today on the West Coast. First, inside Dodger Stadium, we've got some day baseball. A little bit after 1 p.m. local there in L.A., the Dodgers and the Mets conclude their 4-game set. The second and final NLCS rematch scheduled through this regular season between LA and New York. The Mets winning yesterday 6-1, courtesy of a couple of long home runs from Pete Alonso. 2-run shot in the first, 3-run shot for some insurance in the eighth. The Mets have won 2 of 3 this week. The Mets won 2 of 3 DRS a few weekends ago against the Dodgers inside Citi Field. The Mets trying to win their second consecutive series in the NLCS rematch. As we get ready for some day baseball at the Ravine, it's the Dodgers and the Mets. Landon Knack gets the start for LA. They're a -132 home money line favorite. Total 9.5. The over has the juice. Will we see some offense this afternoon in Los Angeles?
If we just look at, like, on paper, right, the two pitchers, like, it's hard to get 10 runs in Major League Baseball. It doesn't even matter if the pitchers are bad at that point, but also understand this, no marine layer typically in the afternoon in LA, and 76-degree temperatures at first pitch with almost a double-digit wind blowing out to right center field. Great hitting conditions tonight. Yesterday, it took a couple home runs there from the polar bear to get that game at least to 6 runs from a Mets perspective. What happens if he doesn't hit home runs? Where are we at in that game? Is it 1-1 in extra innings? I think the game trends to the under. If you take a look at David Peterson, over the past 30 days, 131 batters he's faced, a 123 ISO against, and a weighted on base percentage of 283. That's really good. Flip it over to the other side. Here's where some of the trouble might come in. Landon Knack on the season, 64 batters from the right-hand side he's faced. How about a 339 ISO power number and a weighted on base percentage of 416? If we just go over the last 111 batters he's faced, and we include left-handed batters and right-handed batters, it's still a 233 ISO and a weighted on base percentage of 344. If we take a look at Knack on the card today, 27 pitchers that are listed. He's actually 13th on the card. Decent ERA, 3.71, 3.78 xFIP numbers. So the guys that are catching up are doing damage. Maybe he's getting just a little bit unlucky, and also not a big strikeout pitcher, particularly to right-handed bats. I look at it again today and say, you know what? The Mets are the better team today. Do I love them as much as I did last night? Not necessarily, but I'm not going to take the Dodgers at a favorite price point of -136. I'd lean towards the Mets at a +116 price, but even though it's good weather, sometimes you just look at that ballpark and say it's a pitcher's paradise typically here at night. That's not going to be the case today, but I still think we see under 10 runs in this game, and I give a nice little lean there to the New York Mets again.
DRS, as we know, the odds always evaluate the Dodgers very optimistically. They have been booked as a favorite in all 4 games of this series, if you include today's finale. So the Mets winning outright in 2 of the first 3. That has come as an underdog. The finale of another 4-game set in California, this one between divisional foes, up by the Bay in San Francisco. The Giants and the Padres, all 3 games so far this week, have been decided by just a single run. The first 2 going to San Diego in 10 innings in each. Last night, the Giants returned the favor, dropping down 5-zip, rallying to score 6 straight to win 6-5 in the winner. In the home half of the 7th, Jung-Hoo Lee, an RBI sac fly. Today, in that finale, will we see a split in favor of the Giants or a big series win in a 4-game set for San Diego? The Giants a slight favorite at -118. Total stands now at 7.5. How does this series come to a close today in San Francisco?
Look, if it's not broke, don't fix it here. Now, yesterday they did get a lot of runs. The night before, not a lot of runs. I'm still going to sit with that trend where we're not going to see a lot of runs here. As I said, 27 total pitchers on the card today, a minimum of 5 innings pitched over the last 30 days. Take a look at this. Dylan Cease, number 2 on the card today. Now, he's 0-2 through 30 innings pitched over the past month with a 3.60 ERA, which is manageable. But how about his xFIP number? 2.22. That is astoundingly good. And then if you take a look at Robbie Ray, open up the season like this guy wasn't going to be long for Major League Baseball in 2025, has really turned that corner. 32 innings pitched for him over the past 30 days. How about a 1.69 ERA and a very manageable xFIP number of 3.13? Not a lot of love in those 2 lineups. Now, it is the afternoon, so ball does travel a little bit further there in San Francisco, but not enough for me to take an over. More likely that we see 8 runs or less? Absolutely. That's the way I go in this game between these 2. Coin flip on the game, 2 good pitchers out there, 2 lineups that I don't love so much. Why not just take the under again?
Basically a pick'em today by the Bay between the Giants and the Padres. Of course, San Francisco scoring 6 runs straight yesterday. First game for the Giants, snapping a 16-game skid of not scoring more than 4 runs. So the idea of offense at a premium is not anything new for SF. The Padres trail the Dodgers by a game. The Giants 3 games back in the National League West. We get you ready for game number 1 of the NBA Finals tonight in OKC. Up next.
Falcons are actually relieved that he's kind of not there to create more of a distraction. Look, I mean, I said it the day it happened. It was one of the stupider decisions I've ever seen by a professional NFL franchise to sign a quarterback to a $180 million contract and then draft his replacement exactly 5 weeks later. This was a terrible organizational decision by the Falcons. Now, they're going to spin this, and this is what's annoying about the Falcons and their PR staff. They're going to spin this as if this is the plan we had all along. This is the plan that when, Kirk Cousins either got hurt or didn't play well or got too old, we were going to have Penix come in. And guess what? The new plan is now we're going to keep Kirk Cousins as a backup. So if Michael Penix gets hurt, we told you so. We were right for keeping him on the roster. We were smart for keeping him here. No, this whole thing has been an abject disaster.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high, but the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that ring. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple of 15.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
The Steelers' interest in Aaron Rodgers as a joke. Your boy went off about the entire situation and why it taken so long to forget him. Terry Bradshaw getting involved.
Yeah, and saying basically, what are you bringing him in for 1 year? All of this drama for 1 year at this guy, where he is now in his career is he's washed.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
The opening night of the 2025 NBA Finals. It is game number 1 on this Thursday in Oklahoma City. The Thunder host the Indiana Pacers. And DRS, as we have shared numerous times in the build-up to this game, the theme is consistent. When you look at game 1 and its spread in the series outright price, the Thunder are a large favorite, both to win an NBA championship and game number 1, and maybe make this NBA Finals a rather quick affair. 9.5-point spread now in favor of OKC. 230.5 is that total. I think as basketball fans, from a content perspective, to make this Finals feel significant, we all want to see it go the distance. We want to see it even get to 6 games. But when you truly dive into the odds, is that how we anticipate the NBA Finals playing out? Donnie Rightside, in your estimation, how does game number 1 start tonight in Oklahoma City?
I'm hoping maybe a lot of people out there feel stupid when they wake up tomorrow and be like, what kind of bet did I lay in this game? Because me taking Oklahoma City, which I think they win by double digits, I put it this way, Ben, I don't think this game plays out this way. Ooh, man, what a close victory for OKC. They won it at the end on a great defensive play by Chet Holmgren to preserve a 1-point victory. Like, it feels like to me it's Pacers outright or Thunder by double digits. Like, no in between at this point. Because if it does play out where, okay, look at that, Pacers lost by 7 and covered, that's like, you know what? That's exactly probably what the books don't want, because the majority of the bet's still coming in from a Pacers perspective here. But starting out in game number 1, I'm buying into it. I'm buying into the disrespect of the Indiana Pacers. I like the Pacers. They're a good ball club, but I don't think there's any in between tonight. And if we're hanging 9.5s out there, it's just so easy to look at that number and say, I'll take the Pacers with double digits and live with it. Because quite frankly, Ben, if they get beat by 25 and you take the 9.5, you go, hey, gave it my best effort at this point. Like, I wouldn't even be that mad. But for me, I'm looking at it from an OKC perspective. If there's enough respect out there in the marketplace to hold an NBA Finals game number 1 at 9.5 without an avalanche coming over from the one side, pushing that number lower and lower, I'm just going to read the line, and I'm going to take OKC in a runaway victory tonight.
DRS, we obviously had the Fade the Public poll to start off this third and final hour. Around 34% of the updated vote actually lay in the 9.5, expecting Oklahoma City to win, of course, to cover that number by double digits. But it is interesting comparing our Fade the Public poll to the betting statistics on the FanDuel Sportsbook right now. 57% of the bets backing Indiana as the underdog to keep this game within a single-digit margin and cover as a 9.5-point dog. That's the volume of bets. 58% of the money on the spread laying the number with the Thunder. That's a dichotomy. That's a disparity. Is more money, meaning more sharp? Is more bets, meaning more public? I guess that ultimately is for all of you to decide. Oklahoma City throughout this playoff run, 8-1 straight up at home, 7-2 against the spread. They have been at least a 5-point favorite in every single home game. All 7 of their covers overall in the 16 games, DRS, throughout this postseason march for Oklahoma City, back to the NBA Finals for the first time in more than a decade, have come at home, where the average margin of victory inside the Paycom Center for the Thunder, 24.6 points per game. 5 of those 8 wins by 25 points at least. If Oklahoma City is winning tonight, there's your track record for the Thunder to make it look lopsided. But on the other side, the Pacers have been undervalued throughout this postseason run as well. Indiana an underdog 10 times, 7 outright wins. Indiana playing 8 away games, 6 outright wins as well. The Pacers have been that overlooked side in each of their last 2 series. It is a calling card for Indiana. Pascal Siakam saying in the lead up to this game, we don't expect anybody to pick us to win the NBA championship. We know that Pacers have thrived with the underdog mentality throughout this NBA postseason.
Yeah, and a big underdog in game number 1, a minus 450 price on the money line here as a favorite towards OKC. And again, like, I love the talking points on this, though, because it is the fact that it's the Indiana Pacers, and it wasn't a ping pong ball that just kept coming up, Pacers, 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 and that's how they got to the NBA Finals where everybody else had to earn it here. Like, they had to go out and beat a formidable opponent, even though it was injured a bit there in the Milwaukee Bucks. Then they had to go out and beat the number 1 overall seed, who did get injured a little bit, but they dispatched them. I'm like, man, thank goodness we got that lucky break and won in 7 games, easily beat them, then beat up on the New York Knicks and won that game in game number 6 and move forward to the finals where they have ample time to rest. And we're not worried about, I wonder if Tyrese Halliburton's ankle is up to it here in the finals. No, they're healthy and ready to go. The same thing with OKC. So we should get a pretty clean outcome. And also, both of these teams getting extended periods of time off. There might be the rust factor that we talk about. If there is a game to steal, it better be game number 1. Because once you get back on even footing, which would be game number 2 on Saturday night, you better have that series lead, because if you don't and OKC runs away with it, the expectations again will be OKC to win in game number 2 if everything stays equal and probably a line similar to the 9.5 that we're looking at right now. So for my money, if you want the Pacers to win this series, if you think the Pacers' best shot is going to come, it's probably in game number 1. So if they don't show out in game number 1, okay, let's rebrand, rebuild for game number 2. Those vibes aren't going to be the same as way they are now. I want to see how this first quarter plays out. If it's an avalanche toward Oklahoma City, are the Pacers raining down 3-point shots? Are the Oklahoma City Thunder saying, hey, we're a great defensive team, but the Pacers are now outrunning us and pushing the tempo? We don't have an answer. I need to find that out. I just don't want to find out based on my bet. Yes, a double-digit victory for OKC, but all of our worst fears are coming true. Nobody wanted this finals, and nobody now is going to watch the finals.
Indiana has won each of its opening 3 games to start every one of its playoff series here in this postseason. The last 2, of course, as a hefty underdog on the road in Cleveland and inside Madison Square Garden. Oklahoma City has been a little bit tripped up, DRS, in their opening games of the last 2 rounds. They lost to Denver, although they did have a 13-point fourth quarter lead, and they were down by 4 against the Timberwolves at the break in game number 1 of the Western Conference Finals before they won the second half by 30 points in game number 1 by 26. You have heard Indiana plus 5.5 in the first half. that could be a way to think the Pacers keep this game competitive tonight. Frankly, for me, DRS, we had the conversation earlier. Buy or sell. Outcome of game one really changes your overall outlook of the NBA Finals. Not so much. I think the Pacers could cover this game. Heck, the Pacers could even win outright. And I still believe the Thunder are going to be crowned an NBA champion, hoisting that Larry O'Brien trophy in 5 games. Yeah, let's talk about the superstars and the points props tonight. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, death taxes somewhere between 29 and 35 points. His points prop reflecting that for the MVP, 33.5. But only 17.5 on the other side for Tyrese Halliburton, DRS. How do you approach those two numbers?
Yeah, if I'm going with a win and a convincing win for Oklahoma City, I'm going to correlate that. Now, granted, SGA is always going to be around that number. Values in the eye of the beholder. I understand that. But when I look at the number for SGA and you see, Ben, the 33.5, what do you say to yourself? And that sounds about right. Like, he's always in that range. He'll probably get there. But Tyrese Halliburton entering into game number 1, when you know he needs to be a focal point and really step his game up, I would have thought that would have been 19.5, 20.5, 21.5. So I see the 17.5 in the same way I talked when JY was on. It's like, boy, that number is really low. But again, it's not there for a reason to trip you up and say, hey, psst, he's supposed to get 25. We'll put it at 17.5, but we won't let you. We won't let the public know. But if you want to bet it, go ahead. That's a number that's crazy. No, I'm correlating it to a big win for Oklahoma City, which means Tyrese Halliburton is going to struggle. That number looks a little bit fishy, so I'm buying into that as well. Under on Tyrese Halliburton for me tonight at 17.5 points.
Halliburton 20-plus in 4 of the 6 against the New York Knicks in the Eastern Conference Finals and 5 times previously in those opening 2 series. Tyrese Halliburton doesn't necessarily need to score 30 like SGA probably does for Oklahoma City to have success. He can do it in other ways. The leading scorer in the Eastern Conference Finals MVP, of course, for Indiana was Pascal Siakam. He has the highest points prop for the Pacers tonight. It's 19.5. Jalen Williams on the other side for OKC, 22 and a hook. We'll talk about every single option from the prop perspective with our guy in the jack of all trades, TV Tom Vecchio, as we get you ready for game 1 of the NBA Finals next.
Falcons are actually relieved that he's kind of not there to create more of a distraction. Look, I mean, I said it the day it happened. It was one of the stupider decisions I've ever seen by a professional NFL franchise to sign a quarterback to a $180 million contract and then draft his replacement exactly 5 weeks later. This was a terrible organizational decision by the Falcons. Now, they're going to spin this, and this is what's annoying about the Falcons and their PR staff. They're going to spin this as if this is the plan we had all along. This is the plan that when, Kirk Cousins either got hurt or didn't play well or got too old, we were going to have Penix come in. And guess what? The new plan is now we're going to keep Kirk Cousins as a backup. So if Michael Penix gets hurt, we told you so. We were right for keeping him on the roster. We were smart for keeping him here. No, this whole thing has been an abject disaster.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that ring. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple 18.5 point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
The Steelers' interest in Aaron Rodgers as a joke. Your boy went off about the entire situation and why it taken so long to forget him. Terry Bradshaw getting involved.
Yeah, and saying basically, what are you bringing him in for 1 year? All of this drama for 1 year at this guy, where he is now in his career is he's washed.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Let's continue previewing the NBA Finals in its opening game tonight on a Thursday between the Thunder and the Pacers. Donnie Rightside is firing on all cylinders now that his co-host on Pro Baseball today, the jack of all trades, providing that prop perspective, TV Tom Vecchio of SportsGrid joins us here to end out this Thursday on TEL. Vecchio first, NBA Finals game number 1. Then Stanley Cup Final game 1, and what we expect for the remainder of the battle for the Cup between the Oilers and the Panthers. For everything in advance, of course, we say thank you.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me. We got off to a great start with the Stanley Cup last night. We are in for, I'm going to say, a good series on tap for the NBA Finals. Again, I talked about on Monday, I'd like the series to go over 5.5 games. I think the Thunder are in a spot to win the series 4-1, which gives us an opportunity to hedge out at that last game. I would like to see them win 4-2, giving us enough leeway when it comes to prop markets.
Vecchio, we have broken down the series from every single angle. We'll get your prop thoughts on game number 1 tonight in OKC as well. But you just said it right there. You are hoping this series gets to 6 games. You believe the Pacers can keep it tightly contested enough to at least force a 6th game. Over 5.5, by the way, is plus 112. But Oklahoma City is a very hefty favorite at minus 700 outright to hoist that Larry O'Brien trophy. Vecchio, when you look at this series overall, what is your best bet? Is it getting to 6 games? Is it a series correct score price? How do you predict the NBA Finals playing out?
So again, I do expect the series to end 4-1. Maybe it's 4-2 if we see the Thunder come out a little bit slow tonight, as they did in game 1 against Denver, and Indiana certainly has the offense to keep up with them. So I like over 5.5 again for the series. That was at plus 106 on Monday. As you said, it's plus 112 now. You could also take Indiana at 4-1. That's kind of what that series total games implies. But again, it leaves us that opportunity to hedge out. I would ultimately also potentially kind of been talking myself into it, looking to take the Thunder maybe minus 2.5 games, because that also puts the series in a spot like, oh, they win 4-1. I may lose the over 5.5 or potentially hedge out on that, but they would cover the minus 2.5 series spread. So depending on what you want to do, how much exposure you want to have long-term in the series, there's different ways to skin the cat when it comes to this. And I would say have a piece of 1 or 2. So it leaves you that opportunity to have an out essentially when we get to game 5 or game 6.
Yeah, Tom, we talked earlier, like we had a decent prop board up there in one of our segments that was like, all right, well, maybe I don't want to buy into minus 700 for the series itself, and I do think Oklahoma City wins game number 1. Well, if they win game number 1 and the series, that parlays a minus 290 price as opposed to a minus 700 price here, something to work out of different ways to bet. If you don't like these high prices, try to turn that more towards your palate here. Let's take a look at the NBA Finals here and the MVPs. Is it just so simple, Tom? It's SGA to minus 550 price, and if OKC wins, he automatically gets that. Is there anybody else that you might be looking forward in this market that could provide some value for you?
There's nothing here. That's really what it comes down to. If you are betting on someone else, not just on the Thunder or the Pacers, you are, I don't want to say you're rooting for an injury with SGA, but that's what you'd be banking on, right? Again, if the Thunder win, it's going to be SGA. It's really that simple. So again, there are other ways to find value. And I didn't know the plus 290 you said on Thunder to win game 1 and win the series. Like, that's really interesting. Like, that would imply that they come out strong. Why are they coming out strong? Oh, SGA, the MVP. He continues to do his thing. There are better ways to go about this series than looking at direct, series money line or the MVP.
Game 1 winner, series winner, just to make sure we get the price, because plus 290 would be the best bet ever, is minus 290, just to make sure that we share that there, but minus 290. But Vecchio, I do agree, when you look at those NBA Finals MVP odds, if Oklahoma City wins an NBA championship, regardless of the duration, narrative-wise, production-wise, if OKC is coming out on top, it's going to be Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Is there value theoretically with J-Dub or Chet Holmgren? Maybe. Are you ever going to be able to profit off of that bet? More than likely not throughout this series that begins tonight on a Thursday in Oklahoma City. It's the Thunder as a 9.5-point favorite with a total of 230 and a hook against the Indiana Pacers. Vecchio, throughout football season, that prop perspective, we ask you, based on the spread and the total, how do you expect the game flow to play out? We do a similar thing here with game 1 expected to be lopsided and yet high scoring. What does that mean for the opening game of the NBA Finals?
It means that we should have a lot of value, I think, early with the Pacers. And what I mean by that is if they start scoring, we will see that total rise, and they're going to be in a spot to cover. So I've talked about this throughout the week on various shows, with Kevin the other day on Game Time Decisions, where I think you can get both sides of this. So you take Indiana at plus 9.5. If they come out strong, again, we have seen the Thunder start off series slow, especially against Denver. If Indiana comes out slow, you can then get the Thunder live at -2, -3, -4, whatever. Then you're on both sides of it. It does provide you a nice little middle. That's the only way the Pacers have a shot in this series. They have to come out strong first quarter. They have to come out strong first half. You can take them there and then have the Thunder live in game. That's the only way I look at it. I think we're going to see some good scoring. And as the series goes on, I expect that total to drop to sub 220 once we get to Game 5 or Game 6.
Let's get some of those props here, Tom. Game number 1, going to get fired up tonight. We'll all watch here. Give us some players that we can certainly watch and win some money off of.
Yeah, let's turn to Alex Caruso. I think he's awesome at his role, and his role isn't necessarily scoring. We saw him go over this 8.5 mark in the last game of the series versus Minnesota, but he went 6 of 6 from the free throw line, and those were his only 6 free throw attempts for the entire series. So when we see him scoring 2 points, up at 10, 9 points, whatever it might be, there's just not enough consistency. More importantly, there's not enough volume. We're seeing 5, 7, 8 attempts from him. That's not enough to get him consistently over 8.5. So I like him under 8.5. And then Jalen Williams, for as amazing as he has been, we're not getting, again, a consistent mark from him when it comes to rebounds plus assists. We're seeing him average 10, right at 11 throughout different playoff series. So I like him under 11.5. I think he'll get to his 20, 22 points, whatever it might be. But the rebounds and assists, you can't sell me on that right now.
22. The points prop for J-Dub entering game number 1 tonight. Under 8.5 for Alex Caruso, a guy that in the 5 games of the Western Conference Finals scored in the single digits 4 of those 5. Vecchio remains here on the other side of the break. You saw Stuart Skinner over 24.5 saves. We'll talk game 2 of the Stanley Cup Final. We'll talk his reactions to game number 1 and the OT winner for Edmonton, courtesy of Leon Draisaitl on the other side of the break. But right now, part ways with Donnie right side. DRS, see you tomorrow. Enjoy the money line. More TEL next.
Falcons are actually relieved that he's kind of not there to create more of a distraction. Look, I said it the day it happened. It was one of the stupider decisions I've ever seen by a professional NFL franchise to sign a quarterback to a $180 million contract and then draft his replacement exactly 5 weeks later. This was a terrible organizational decision by the Falcons. Now, they're going to spin this, and this is what's annoying about the Falcons and their PR staff. They're going to spin this as if this is the plan we had all along. This is the plan that when, Kirk Cousins either got hurt or didn't play well or got too old, we were going to have Penix come in. And guess what? The new plan is now we're going to keep Kirk Cousins as a backup. So if Michael Penix gets hurt, we told you so. We were right for keeping him on the roster. We were smart for keeping him here. No, this whole thing has been an abject disaster.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high, but the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that ring. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple 18.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. That's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
The Steelers' interest in Aaron Rodgers as a joke. Your boy went off about the entire situation and why it taken so long to forget him. Terry Bradshaw getting involved.
Yeah, and saying basically, what are you bringing him in for 1 year? All of this drama for 1 year at this guy, where he is now in his career is he's washed.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
The jack of all trades is still here to round out our 3 hours together on this Thursday on the early line on SportsGrid. Of course, that is TV Tom Vecchio of SportsGrid here to break down the start of the Stanley Cup final last night in Edmonton. And what a thrilling opening game it was, Vecchio, to the Cup final rematch between Edmonton and Florida. The Oilers down 3-1 early in the second period, stormed back in regulation to force overtime in the goal. And the guy that scored the opening goal of the Cup final is the guy to score the final goal of game number 1 in overtime. Just over a half-minute remaining in that OT session. Leon Draisaitl wins it for Edmonton. 4-3, the OT victory for the Oilers. Unlike last year, they do not start in an 0-1 hole or even trailing by 3 games. They take a 1-0 series advantage on home ice. Vecchio, what was your overall biggest takeaway from a thrilling Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final?
You know, I was thinking about this question this morning, like, what was my takeaway? And I think it comes down to you have to tell yourself a story. And what I mean by that is, like, you can say, okay, the Oilers look terrible. They start off strong. They give up these goals. But then you also could say the Oilers look great storming back after they gave up that gave up the lead, and they come back in regulation, and then they end up winning the game in overtime. So what I want to say ultimately is there's good and bad things to take for both teams. The Panthers looked great, and then they looked terrible. And the Oilers looked terrible, then they looked great. And again, I've talked about the Oilers learning their lessons over this postseason compared to where they were last year. And again, Stuart Skinner didn't play amazing. Absolutely wasn't the case, but too many penalties overall is what I'd like to see them clean up. They did look really good on the penalty kill overall, but they have to have a higher level of consistency. They can't start off looking terrible or great, then look terrible, and vice versa. So a higher level of even consistency will put the Oilers in a spot to win. And I did talk about on Monday, the Oilers to win the series 4-2 or 4-3, and we're off to a pretty good start.
Yes, you certainly are, Vecchio. With how this series has started, we have talked about the similarities between these two clubs facing off for a Stanley Cup once again, and the differences. Edmonton had home ice advantage. The Oilers start with a win, unlike last year when they were planked down in Sunrise. But, Vecchio, we still expect this series to be tight. The Oilers were a home ice favorite for Game 1, around a -125 series outright favorite to hoist the cup entering Game 1. But after that victory, now -225. The shortest in terms of the duration of this series was 7 games entering. It is still 7 games at +185. Did last night's result alter the way that you will view this series, back and forth game between game, or ultimately how long it plays out?
Not at all. I think we're going to see the Panthers bounce back. The one take I would have, showing those odds of the Panthers at +184 to win the series, ultimately that's the play to make, right? I wouldn't play them on the money line in Game 2. You just bet them on the series because they're +105, or I don't know the odds for Game 2 off the top of my head, but it's pretty even. But you just play them at +184 for the series price, and you'll have a much better spot. Again, you can buy back in on the Oilers in going into Game 3, whatever it might be. But this series is going a minimum of 6 games.
+105 is that money line underdog price for the Panthers for tomorrow night's Game 2 up in Edmonton. Total still remains at 6.5. Vecchio, do you have any issue with the updated Conn Smythe Trophy Award odds? Connor McDavid had 2 assists last night, including on the game winner in OT, but it was Leon Draisaitl, the guy scoring 2 goals, including that game winner. Along with playoff Bob, he is tied for that second best price, but McDavid now even a stronger favorite in minus money to win his second consecutive Conn Smythe Award. How do you view the Conn Smythe odds after game number 1?
This is where they should be. We have to remember that this is a little bit different compared to the NBA Finals MVP, where the Conn Smythe, they actually encapsulate the entire playoffs, which is why McDavid won it last year, because he was just unbelievable throughout the playoffs. So Draisaitl, in order to overcome the odds and overcome what McDavid has done, he would literally need to have multiple game-winning goals, multiple goals in every single game. They win the series 4-2, and like 3 of the 4 games are solely because he wins. They win the series, McDavid will be winning the Conn Smythe.
And listen, there is the performance, there is the stats, but more than anything, there is also the narrative. If Connor McDavid, in his decade in the National Hockey League, can bring a Stanley Cup back to his homeland of Canada for the first time in more than 3 decades, that's going to help his case, no doubt about it. Vecchio, we had something there quickly. Just want to make sure we show it to all the people for Game 2 tomorrow night. Stuart Skinner, the netminder for Edmonton, over 24.5 saves. Make sure you lock that in from TV Tom right here, right now. Vecchio, a thank you as always. That does it for this Thursday on the Early Line. Show returns tomorrow, 8 a.m. Eastern, here on SportsGrid.